because I am on a strict time schedule, I'm going to skip the intro this morning. And also, as you noticed, we are on a members only settings. This is members only. I probably should have did this because you don't throw pearls at swine, right? You don't give somebody information they really didn't want, right? So the algorithm doesn't want the people to know the truth. Some people think they want to know the truth, but then they get over here and they hear something that they didn't want to hear, and it disturbs their whole life. So I really didn't want that, right? So therefore, people by now know what I'm talking about. If you ever became a member of this show, that means you know what I talk about, straight up and down. So you can handle the conversation, right? It's not going to turn your life upside down. This is something that you've been inching towards, something you've been saying you want to just peel off the scab. You want to know the truth. And I already know Uncle Andy was good with you, bro. You know, you already know it's members only, so it ain't gonna be a lot of us, right? But it will still be a good show. It still will be a good show. Everybody's not meant for this type of conversation. They just not. And I'm tired of giving it out to people that never wanted to know it. They get upset. It's like, that's why they got secret societies and fraternities. You understand what I'm saying? It's not meant for everybody. It's just not, man. But yesterday, it's funny how the algorithm works, right? So yesterday, I'm trying to find something to listen to, and what comes up? Jordan Maxwell. And this is the first time I've ever heard. Yeah, well, if anybody's gonna be here, I don't know who's gonna be here. You know what I'm saying? It's members only. It could just be you and a few others that I know are members only. But I did not want to share this publicly. So who knows? I might be able to get two shows out today, because we'll do this one, and then I did want to talk about Venezuela. You understand? That one I'll make public. That I'll make public, because the algorithm, it likes when you contribute to chaos. The algorithm, being that it is the people that we know as the Jewish people, and shout out to Candace Owens, because she actually did a show on something else I talked about, which the people that they talking about are not genetically related to the people of Judea at all. I did these videos 4 or 5 years ago. So a lot of these people that have the voice, they're just not getting around to the work I did 4 years ago. Which is okay, because they have a bigger platform and they can reach more people. However, what I was saying was the people, these same people that you're trying to out, they own the majority of these companies. So they're never gonna, like, I see the AIs now rejecting historical truths, right? They will tell people lies. And it's sad, because I can determine the lie and discern the lie, but who else is coming to AI for the truth and end up getting told the lie? That's the sad part. However, I must worry about my house. You understand? So over here, I'm gonna give the people the truth, and I'm gonna feel good. So when I passed, you guys. And I don't plan on passing anytime soon. I'm just saying, when I do pass, the truth that I gave down here on this earth will continue to do what it was meant to do. And that's what it's about for me, a legacy, you know what I'm saying? And purpose, legacy and purpose. That's all I could do. All right. So I'm listening to Jordan Maxwell. As you guys know, let me pull up what I did last week. I didn't even know Jordan Maxwell spoke on the moon god at all. And let me see something. I want to see how long ago he spoke about this. Give me a second. Okay, hold on. Give me a second. Copy link. Let me come over here to Chrome. It's giving me a hard way to go. I don't mean to slow down the show. But I just want to see how long ago he did this.
Hey!
Shut your face.
Hey, it's Alicia, your AI.
Hey. Alright. Okay, so they uploaded this 3 weeks ago. They only uploaded it but you could tell from the video that we're about to watch, he did this way more than 3 weeks. He probably did this more than decades ago. You understand? Because that's just, like, he was Jordan Maxwell was different, man. Top notch. But even though I hear him say certain things, I still research what he says, because some of the scholars that I really look up to, they be capping. They embellish a lot, right? So I have to look up what they say before I just share it. I can't just come in like. Sometimes it's not even close. Sometimes it is. All right. So if you was watching my show a couple of weeks ago or whenever it wasn't that long ago. It might have been like 8 days ago. I did a whole story on the moon god Sin. He was one of. I talked about Anu, father of the Anunnaki. I talked about Enki, also pronounced E or Ea, because they write it EA, so sometimes people say Ea. And then I talked about Enlil, right? And I, because Enlil was the father of the air, I said this was the Trinity right here. This was the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, the air moving like a ghost. Fine, I went over that. I also went over how Enlil had a son named Nana, which also was known as Sin, which was revered in the city of of Chaldees, which is where Abraham is from, of the Chaldees. So I did a lot of research with that, right? And I also went over. Well, I didn't even put. I had a website from Yale that read the tablets, and that's how I discovered Sin. Actually, I was just trying to read those tablets. I think the tablets was. Hold up, I should have the name of the tablets in here. Enuma, Anu, Enlil, right? From the Enuma, Anu, and Enlil series. And I just wanted to read those tablets. And then things got crazy because I discovered a guy named Sin that they were talking about in the tablets who was a moon god. And that's how I didn't even hear about Jordan Maxwell. Well, yesterday I'm riding down the road. Mind you, I don't even know what I'm about to listen to, because my job allows you to do a one button push, right? You can't be staring at the screen because I'm driving a truck. So really, I can't be staring at the screen. I gotta just push a button and just hope for the best. And I glanced and I seen Jordan Maxwell and I just you know what I'm saying? Anything to keep me in motion. Let's just go. And then to my surprise, Jordan.
All right, I want to talk a bit about Moses, because Moses.
He gets up there and he starts kicking this. I'm like, all right, where's this going? Let's go.
This is very important to American law because the United
Now, that's one thing I liked about Jordan. He was able to tie in maritime law, American law, and religion. And he was able to point out where you could see the symbols of these religious entities incorporated in the governmental system. So you already knew who was at the head of a lot of things. This is why I always refer to that scripture, and I think it's in Ephesians, and it says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in higher places." I believe it's in Ephesians 6. Maybe, don't quote me on that. You understand? So the King James Version says rulers of spirit in high places, right? Spiritual wickedness in high places. However, before it said rulers, in the Saint Jerome edition of the Bible, which is a Latin, that was in Latin. The word was governor. And I found that to be very interesting, because the govern was to steer, right? So basically, some people say control. It's the same thing, because you're controlling, you're guiding, the governor guiding. So when it comes to government, then I broke it down that the mint is the etymology for mint is the mind. So you put it together, and it's to control the mind. Fine. Like wine over time. Let me chill. So that's one of the things I like about Jordan Maxwell. But one day I'll be as good as he. This dude is phenomenal, bro. He breaks some stuff down. And he's not the only one. I do want to give acknowledgement. Dr. York, man. Listen, people be asking, why you shout out Dr. York? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't believe he did the things that they said he believed. I believe he was set up because he was trying to start his own nation within the United States. The United States has never been a split nation since they united, right? And they don't want to go back to different. This is not Africa where you have different nations on a continent. They just want to remain one nation. That's it. So several people have tried. Dr. York was one of them, to start his own nation on the continent of North America, and they don't play games. They shut you all the way down after that, because they also don't want you to show someone else how to do it. You understand? So they shut Dr. York down, put the whole pedo thing on him. It's a wrap. It's over. And the government will make people confess about things, right? They go, whether it's I'll put your kids away. You understand? Well, I'll take your kids from you and I'll put them away. No mother wants to hear that, right? Listen, this is the government we're talking about. We talk about the same people that just went over there and kidnapped a whole president and his wife and got him in a New York jail. But that's coming on another live. I don't want to talk about that right now, because we either talk about that today or tomorrow. You understand? Today or tomorrow. So I do want to get into this real quick, and let me just one second. I just want to do some acknowledgments real quick before we get started. We got a few people in here. I don't know how. This is members only, but we got a few people in here. I did not expect 19 people to be in here. So that's dope. That's really dope. All right. Yeah, that's what I said. Uncle Andy. Yo, word is bomb. I expected like 3 people to be here. So, all right, without further ado, let's get into the what I learned. I'm not even gonna call it a lesson, and I won't call it a lesson because this is what I learned, and I looked up some of it. So I don't like to deal with conspiracies and all this other stuff. If I ever deal with a conspiracy, I will tell you this is what I believe. I'm not gonna lead you to believe something that I believe because just because, and I can't prove it, or you know what I'm saying. I will bust my ass to prove it now, because if I strongly believe it, I'm like, it gotta be a connection. So let's just listen to this together, because it was bugged out, and I was like, yo, I just did a video on this.
All right, I want to talk a bit about Moses, because Moses is very important to American law, because the United States operates on three premises. One, Roman government. Our government is Roman in style. Our philosophy is Greek, and our laws are Jewish. And so
I'm not going to stop a whole lot. I just want you to internalize what he just said. Our government is Roman, and I am going to do a show on who was the Romans before they became Christian, because that's very important. You need to understand the gods that they served and what they believed in, because their conversion to Christianity was very abrupt, and mandated. So the people themselves didn't even have time truly to say yay or nay. It was just like very abrupt, and it was abrupt for a reason, but that's for another show. The philosophy is Greek. That's true.
Our government is Roman in style. Our philosophy is Greek, and our laws are Jewish.
And our laws are Jewish. Again, I'm stopping so you can internalize what does that even mean. He may start talking fast, and you write it down. Write that down and just revisit it later. What does he mean by that? Our laws are Jewish. What does he mean by that? It's rhetorical. You don't have to answer me right now, right? But I want you to get the answer. What does he mean by that?
And so Moses is very important to the laws of America, the Mosaic Law. So let's look at Moses, because it's a very interesting history about the real story of Moses, the lawgiver. We know that Moses was given the law by God. He's the lawgiver and the leader of the children of Israel. And supposedly God gave Moses the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai. And he comes down from Mount Sinai, bringing to the children of Israel the new law. Actually the 10 Commandments also, of which Moses is supposed to have gotten from God, the 10 Commandments are actually based on the Egyptian negative confessions.
All right, stop right there. That was, when he said that was not the first time I heard that. I had heard that from a couple of guys who were incarcerated, who became like Egyptologists while they was inside. The first one was, I think the first person to tell me something like that was a cat named I-Born from Mount Vernon, New York. Now, I had worked with I-Born on a couple of projects. We did workout videos together. Actually, we were the first to do videos on the street calisthenics, right? And we dropped a whole documentary on Rough Rider Records. And then what happened was, what we did had inspired people from all over the world to do street calisthenics, and we didn't even know it. And then he got a call from a director who went all over the world all over the world, and was filming different street calisthenics. And they said they had watched what we was doing, and they took it to the new level. They called it extreme street calisthenics, bro. One night, Born called me up, and this is a sidebar because it don't got nothing to do with that. Do it what we talk about. I'm just telling you. One night, Born calls me up, and he's like, "Yo, you want to go with me to a movie premiere downtown?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's telling me, "Yeah, they, this is the cat that, he's seen our work that we did, and he was inspired to do a movie." Yo, I didn't know what to expect when I got down there, right? I'm in the movie, right? Like, my work is in the movie. So he did give me acknowledgments at the what's the name. He found out that I'm the guy that my work is in this, and I wasn't even mad. I wasn't like, "Yo, why is my work in your movie?" I wasn't mad at all. I was just like, holy snap, to see what we did and what it became. People in Russia, people in all over the world doing crazy stuff and shouting, like, basically saying like, "Yo, this is you. These guys started it. What we seen these guys do in New York." And I was like, wow, bro. Look at that. Look how you can inspire somebody and you don't even know it. It's crazy. And at that intensity too, it was something else. But yeah, Born, he was incarcerated. He was a knucklehead when he was younger. He went to prison. He did not come out a knucklehead. Right now he's working with Prince from the Supreme team, and they're working with youth in the community. So he got a head on his shoulders. But he was the first person to tell me about the Egyptian negative confessions and how the 10 Commandments came from this. So I just want to look this. I have it up anyway, so I got it ready ahead of time, right? So it says the 42. I think it's also called the 42 laws of Ma'at. I think it's also called the 42 laws of Ma'at. And I read some of these. Now, before I read these, it would make sense if you listen to me. I told you that I believe that the Hebrew, let's get this right. I believe that the Hebrew people are really the Hebrew people. However, the Hebrew people were also putting pressure on the Canaanites at the time. They was trying to like take over the Canaanites. They were just like a tribe, a desert tribe, right? But they was putting a lot of pressure. How do I know that? Because the Canaanite leaders were sending messages to Egypt, asking for. First of all, they were acknowledging Akhenaten. I think it's Amenhotep the Fourth, Akhenaten. Yeah. They was acknowledging him with reverence, and they were also at the same time asking for help dealing with these Hebrew people. Now, phonetically, I could see how Hebrew could turn to Hebrew, but again, I cannot prove that because not many mainstream scholars believe what I believe. However, there are some scholars that still do believe what I believe. Shout out to Gary Greenberg. I do believe he is one of them. I think he wrote a book, something called the Moses Exodus or something like that. You guys can look that up. Gary Greenberg. Let me just look it up real quick. Make sure that's Gary Greenberg. Moses Exodus. Because that might be the wrong name for the book. The Moses Mystery. The Moses Mystery. Yeah, the Moses Mystery. All right, so you guys can look that up there. Now, Akhenaten tried to start a monotheistic religion. It didn't go over well. In my opinion, I tell you, it didn't go over well because I believe that the priests was already setting their lifestyle, and they were like, "Yo, bro, check this out. I'm already making money. I'm doing good. All of this monotheistic business, you really messing things up a little bit, and this is not our culture, right?" He tried it for a little bit, and there was a coup. They got him up out of there. The stories vary about what actually happened in the end, whether he got away or he died, but I know he got up out of there. My theory is that he went to where? He went to where he knew they loved him. And the reason, again, we know that they had love for him was because of the recovered communications that they had between each other, Canaan and Egypt. My theory is he went over there and he restarted this religion, right? But I don't know if it had a name, and he still has to deal with the Hebrew people. And check this out, he don't have the backing that he had before. So what do? You definitely go in there with a compromising mentality, right? You don't go in there like, yo, you don't have your forces no more. So you have to go in there with your wits about you and to figure out how do I make this good for everybody. I don't know how he did it, but I know the Bible talks of a story of Abraham coming from Ur of the Chaldees, and I know what they worshipped over there. Now let me read a little bit of this. The 42 laws of Ma'at. I have not committed sin. I have not committed robbery with violence. I have not stolen. I have not slain men and women. I have not stolen food. I think that's a little harsh. I don't know if I would be able to. I'm thinking about those times. I do not commit to these commandments. You understand? If I need to steal some food, I will. I have not swindled offerings. Ooh. I have not stolen from God. I don't know what that means. I have not told lies. I have not carried away food. Some of these are crazy. But some of these, if we had them in place today, like in our heart with sincerity, our communities would be way better, to be honest with you. I have not cursed. I cannot say that. I love cursing. I have not closed my ears to truth. Ooh. Which is exactly why I'm on a members only today, because people close their ears to truth. I don't want you. I'm no longer giving pearls to swine, right? If you want to talk silly business about chaos, which I'll be talking about soon with Venezuela, hey, that could be open to the public. But I'm no longer giving sound teaching and education and opening nobody's eyes that don't want to be open, right? I tell people not to watch my videos, they still watch the video, then complain. Yo, don't watch the video. I'm telling you, don't watch the video. I'm gonna make sense, bro. If you're hoping for me to sound like an imbecile, yo, good luck with that. Only thing that can happen is I'm giving you more stuff to think about, and that could be terrible for you. I have not committed adultery. I have not made anyone cry. My aunt, this is a lot to my aunt. I have not felt sorrow without reason. I have not assaulted anyone. I am not deceitful. I have not stolen anyone's land. What? I have not been an eavesdropper. Damn. You out here ear hustling? Let me put that on my list. Okay. I have not falsely accused anyone. I have not been angry without reason. I have not seduced anyone's wife. I have not polluted myself. I'm going to tell you, some of these are necessary. Some of these are definitely. I could see why they boiled it down to 10, because this was a little bit over the top, right? So we could see this one here. I have not seduced anyone's wife. That one was carried into the 10 Commandments, right? I do believe that's one of the 10 Commandments about not sleeping with anybody's wife. I have not terrorized anyone, or the United States cannot. They have not signed up for this. I have not disobeyed the law. I have not been excessively angry. I have not cursed God. I have not behaved with violence. I have not caused disruption of peace. I have not actually hastily without thought. This is a lot of laws about general stuff. I have not overstepped my boundaries of concern. Oh God. I have not exaggerated my words when speaking. I have not done that. I have not worked evil. I have not done that. I have not used evil thoughts, words, or deeds. I don't know. That needs definition. I have not polluted the water. It's not me polluting the water. Who polluted your water? What? And what did they mean by polluted? Oh, I need to know. I wish I had a time machine. Is this just one guy out there urinating in the water every morning, and they swear like, does the water taste funny to you? A little. A tad gingery. Then it's a big old operation. Mad officers out there peeking through the weeds in the morning just to catch one guy for his morning urination. He probably died horribly. But he broke the 42 laws of mind. You can't be out here urinating in the water. And actually, I agree with you, Def. All of this land out here and you're urinating in the water. Idiot. I have not spoken angrily or arrogantly. I have not cursed anyone in thought, word, or deed. I have not placed myself on a pedestal. I have not stolen that which belongs to God. I have not stolen from or disrespected the deceased. I have not taken food from a child. Who's taking food from a... Bro, you know how much of a scoundrel you are? For you to have taken food from a child? You're a scoundrel, bro. I have not acted with insolence. I have not destroyed property belonging to God. Some say that the 10 Commandments came from there. I don't know. I don't know if I see it. I don't know if I'm convinced. Let me see something. The 10 Commandments in order. Let's check it out real quick. Let's check it out. I don't know if I'm convinced. All right. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt. It always comes back to Egypt. I'm telling you. And it's going to get worse as you watch this video. You're going to learn something right now that I never knew. And it's going to knock your socks off. Knock your socks off. I never knew. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. All right. That's the first commandment. Setting the rules. You should not make yourself a carved image of anything. Okay, I get it. You should not take the name of your Lord God in vain, for the Lord will not hold guiltless who takes his name in vain. What's the name of the God you're talking about? Huh? Yahweh was a charlatan. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. 6 days. Some of these laws, commandments are worthless. Honor your father and your mother. I like that one. Your days may be long upon the land, which you don't know that. You don't know. Now you're making false promises. Just honor your father and your mother. Just do that, bro. Don't try to threaten people. Shorter days, longer days. You shall not murder. Okay? That was definitely in the 42 laws of Ma'at. You should not commit adultery. That was in the 42 laws of Ma'at. You should not steal. That was in the 42 laws of Ma'at. You should not bear false witness against your neighbor. Close enough. You should not covet your neighbor's house. You should not covet your neighbor's wife. Yeah, all of that was there. So 5 through 10 was definitely there. And then 1 through 4 was freestyling, just to make sure that you don't go back to the old gods of Egypt. I get it. I understand now. All right, let's get back to this. I understand now.
Do some research at the library or on the web on the subject of Egyptian negative confessions. And you'll find that the Egyptian negative confessions was the laws in Egypt, and they're almost identical to the 10 Commandments. So that's probably where we get the 10 Commandments.
Almost is a stretch, but we had 5 out of 10. That's not bad, right? We might have had 6. So almost. All right, I'll give you almost, Jordan. I'll give you almost.
From Egypt. And here's just a classic example of the comparing the Egyptian negative confessions to the Hebrew laws from Moses.
Okay, you guys can't read that because it's very... I can barely read it, and I'm right in front of it. So it says, the Book of the Dead, I have done away sin from thee, and not acted fraudulently or deceitfully. I have not belittled God. I have not inflicted pain or caused another to weep. I have not murdered or given such an order. I have not... Yeah, that's... Now, that sounds like the 42 laws of Ma'at. Exodus, thou shalt not take the Lord's name, God, in vain. Yep, 42 laws of Ma'at. Thou shalt not kill. 42 laws of Ma'at. Thou shalt not commit adultery. 42 laws of Ma'at. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. 42 laws of Ma'at.
So the Mosaic Law. Moses, the lawgiver. All right, we have Moses, the lawgiver, in the legislative chamber.
He's about to show you something, but I want you to take a look at this picture. And the pictures that he's showing you, he says this is the legislative law of chamber. Moses, the lawgiver, and the legislative. This is nuts. That they would be so bold and assume you would be too stupid to figure this out. Or they just assume that I would never be born with a purpose to come down here and give the truth over lies. Hit the like button. Or they assume I wouldn't be sent to this earth to give truth over lies. You can't see it, but whatever reason, you can't see it. But I guess you could look this picture up in your spare time. And I might look it up now. But Moses has horns on his head. Bananas. Hold on. I gotta look this up. Moses, the lawgiver, and the legislative chamber. Let me look it up, because I want to zoom in for you, not for me. Moses, the lawgiver, and the legislative chamber. Let's see if I can find it. They came up with all type of stupid stuff. I can't find I would never be able to find that. It's not on this internet. They're not going to let me see it. God bless you, Jordan. You did God's work. You did God's work, my brother. Because we wouldn't have known. Dag, I can't find nothing but stupidness on the internet. All right, I'll find it.
All across America and all the states and the federal government, we have statues of Moses being the lawgiver. Not even mentioning, of course, the Vatican and all over the world. Moses is respected as the great lawgiver. Supreme Court, you see Moses holding the two laws.
That's crazy. That's crazy. The Supreme Court, Moses is holding the two laws. So whether you agreed with what he said about Rome being our government, Greek being our philosophy, and Jewish being our law, we start to see the symbology of it, right? So this is nothing to refute, like, oh, I don't believe that. That part is on you. That's just, the more you look into it, they're not putting these symbologies, they're not putting these statues there for nothing at all. I'm telling you that right now. So that's just your cognitive dissonance pushing back, right? Because it's right in front of your face at this point. Why else would they put Moses on the top, right in the center of the building, sitting on a throne? And horns again. You can't see it. Don't worry. You can't see it. I can see it from here. One there and one there.
The tablets. Interesting too is that Moses, when first given the law from God, he on the tablets, he threw them down and broke the tablets. So he was the first lawbreaker.
He said that, and I just said, "What, Jordan?" Yo, Jordan, you cooking right now, and the video just started. He did. Why did he throw the tablets down? It's not like they was heavy or he had butter on his hands, and I totally forgot. No. We need an explanation, bro. We need an explanation. Hold on. Let's get ChatGPT involved. ChatGPT is a liar, by the way, but we can use Grok too. I don't mind using Grok. Hold on. Why did Moses smash the tablets? Moses smashed the tablets containing the Ten Commandments as in dramatic moment described in Exodus. As soon as he came near the camp and saw the calf and dancing, Moses became enraged, and he hurled the tablets from his hands and shattered them at the foot of the mountain. So he had poor impulse control. What are you doing? What are you doing, bro? You supposed to be leading the people. You out here with the worst impulse control. Huh? You can't control your rage, my boy? Moses is wild. I don't got no time for you right now. Hold on. He's wild.
This is where we get the idea that you break the law.
He's cooking. And that's when he had my attention. I was like, oh, I guess I'm locked in with you all day, Jordan. Let's go. He is the first lawbreaker, literally. You just made up these laws after you plagiarized them, and you've already broken them because the people are still out here wilding, not listening to you. These people is into bestiality, sacrifice, all type of crazy stuff. You thought you was just gonna get that out their system just like because you done plagiarized a few laws from. It don't work like that, my boy.
As I said, here's Moses, the lawgiver, depicted in the U.S. House of Representatives. Why does Moses have horns?
First of all, don't ask me trick questions because I never knew Moses had horns. I never knew Moses had horns. Why would Moses have horns? That's what he's asking. He asked me why does Moses have horns? I'm asking you, Why would Moses have horns? I wouldn't even have believed you. You see why I made this members only? I don't have time for people like, I only wanted the people that was curious over here, because I know you're going to think critically, or you could be over here hoping it ain't what you think it is, in which case you played yourself, because it is exactly what you think it is and worse. And you still got time to leave, because I ain't even start cooking yet. Well, Jordan didn't start cooking yet. Why would Moses have horns? And I've never seen this. I've never seen Moses with horns. So what are you even talking about, Jordan? Is this more of your conspiracy theories?
Now, I have some interesting questions about Moses. Let's start with his horns. A lot of people don't know that Moses was always pictured with horns. This is in the Vatican. In churches, you will always see Moses. Anytime he's portrayed, you'll see him with horns.
You know what's crazy? You ever get a new car? This happens in real life and in games, simulations. Right? If you're riding around GTA and you steal one car, and all of a sudden now you see that car everywhere in GTA. But it happens in life too, right? I remember I got a white Kia Altima. It was bad. Brand new. Bad. Whatever year that was the same year of that car. Had the red stitch seats. And as soon as I got that car, I started to see that car all over the place. What is it about our consciousness that I know the cars didn't just start popping up when I got this car, but now it's the recognition. Now it's the awareness that it exists. So as he said that, I said, I've seen these pictures before, but for some strange reason, I didn't think that was Moses. I never thought. If you look at this right here, logically you would say that's either the devil or that is Judas Iscariot or something like that, right? Because he's looking up, right? So it's a man. And it's like, I don't know what I ever thought when I seen these type of pictures with the horns. I just never thought it was Moses. Why would it be Moses? That makes no sense. Hold on one second. Let me go to the chat. See who we got here. We got Winter. I didn't know if Winter was going to make it. I was hoping that she did. We got Big TTV. So good morning, Miss Winter. Grand Risings. You understand? We got Irvin Mack in the building. I'm happy to see a lot of y'all. We got Big TTV in the building. We got Original Man in the building. Peace to the gods in the earth. Westchester, New York, stand up. You understand? There's a few of y'all in here. And I do appreciate y'all in here on this Sunday morning before I go to work and go provide for my family. You understand what I'm saying? Alright. So let's get back to this. Because, again, I would not be watching this if you like on the fence. This ain't the one to watch. This is not the one to watch. Like, please turn this off. Maybe put on some gospel. You understand? And finish your day that way. Cause this is a day ruiner right there. This video is a day ruiner. Not for you, not for me. I have no religion. But yeah, it's not gonna get better, I could tell you that.
Moses is pictured with the moon or lunar horns. Moses was the focal figure of an ancient cult of moon worship on the Sinai Peninsula. The horns represent the crescent moon. The moon in its lower quarter resembles horns.
So apparently he did this way before I did mine. You understand? Because I just did that video 8 days ago. And I didn't use Jordan Maxwell as a reference at all. I used Yale University and a bunch of other stuff as my resources. I did not use Jordan Maxwell at all. I was not inspired by Jordan Maxwell at all to do my video. Right? And that's when I did my slides, which are right here. And I talk about the lunar gods. Right? I'm talking about the lunar gods, the crescent moon, and all of this other stuff. I'm talking about the bull horns and all this other stuff. I did not get none of that from Jordan Maxwell. So it feels good to have my work confirmed by such a renowned scholar that I look up to.
As this encyclopedia talks about, the lunar phase when the horns of the crescent moon point up at the angle. So the horns are actually the moon in the lower quarter. And we'll see the god of the moon. His name was Sin. We'll get to him in just a moment. You'll see the goddess is wearing the moon horns. Native Americans, of course, Native American chiefs wore horns. This is why they would count their days. Native Americans would count their days from sundown to sundown. That's why they would always keep track of their days by many moons. They would not say many suns, but by many moons. So the horns of the Native American Indian chiefs were the lunar horns of many moons. And of course the Vikings kept
And now the horns are making sense for a lot of us.
The same identical idea. The Vikings had the moon horns. And it was, as I said, the lower quarter of the moon was in the shape of horns. And so, establishing that the lower quarter of the moon, the horns, now we get into the actual archaeological findings. We see the moon being pictured on coins. Here's hands raised worshiping the moon. These are ancient findings in archaeology. Here's the moon on its boat as it floats through the sky in the ancient Egyptian idea. Here's the Virgo, the Virgin, the constellation of Virgo, connected to the lower quarter of the moon. The moon god above the three in the middle. So the lower quarter of the moon has taken on the appearance of horns. And here you'll see the same thing in the Vatican. The Vatican, lower quarter of the moon.
I've never been to the Vatican, but that's crazy.
The moon cults. I'm not going to bother to read all of this because you can read it yourself, but it basically is talking about an ancient cult of the moon.
The words are blurry, but I can see Chaldean here. So Chaldea, I can see Chaldea a few times in here. So he's more than likely saying the same thing I said. He does mention the Quran in here. But you might want to go back and watch my video, and it will give you a better understanding of the moon cult, the one I did previously.
And, of course, in Islam,
I don't know why he chose this image, but what we do know is that Christianity and Islam spawned out of Judaism. So it is not a it's not hard to believe the same God that they serve derived from the moon god.
Allah is connected to the moon cult. Now, if you go to the Google, for instance, if you go to Google and type in moon god Sin, because the actual name of the old Arabian moon god his name was Sin, S-I-N. Sin was the Semitic moon god's name.
He said Arabian. That part is not true. He was not Arabian. He was Sumerian. But I will give you, maybe a misspoken. You're on the right track, obviously, Jordan. But he was not an Arabian. The original moon god Sin was actually, his name was Nana. And then his name changed depending on which city was talking about him. So whether he was in Akkad or Assyria, at some point his name was Sin.
So as I said, if you go to Google and just type in moon god Sin, S-I-N, you'll see there's over 1 million entries just on that one subject. Then if you put into Google, say S-I-N equals Allah, you'll get about 1,270,000 entries talking about the moon god Allah. And here's another one. This one's like 3.25 million if you put in moon god Allah. So Allah, or Sin, S-I-N, was a moon god in ancient Arabia. Here's another one. If you put in Islamic moon god, you get 198,000 entries.
That's wild. This could be hard to hear for many Muslims. It doesn't mean that you have to believe him. You understand? You can either do your own research, or you could say, I don't want to know. I'll just take Allah as he is and continue on your way. It's totally up to you. It's no pressure over here. You understand? It's no pressure at all. Whatever you decide to do, you don't have to let me know. You don't have to check in. Yo, I decided. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me, bro. I don't care. Not that invested, huh? I see you back out here slinging final calls. I don't care, bro. It doesn't matter. Matter of fact, let me get 2 of them joints. You understand what I'm saying? Well, how much some joints is? They still $1? No? Inflation? All right, let me get 1 of those joints.
Here the Catholic Church even uses the crescent moon. As I said, the moon god's name was Sin. Sin, the moon god, was a god chiefly venerated and
Sin, the moon god, is well known for the Sumerian pantheon through the stimulating discoveries of the late Sir Leonard Woolley at Sin's chief cult center in southern Mesopotamia. The moon, marking as it does the regular passage of time, particularly impressed the ancients and was the god of chiefly venerated in pre-Christian civilization of southern Arabia. There you go. It is significant that the Semites of the great caravan city of Palmyra and the first 3. Thanks, babe. Thank you. All right. Let's get this show over with and gotta eat my breakfast.
the pre-Christian civilization in southern Arabia. It is significant. The lower part of this paragraph, it says, it is significant that the Semites of the great caravan city of Palmyra in the first 3 centuries of the Christian era also gave high priority to the worship of the moon. And there again we see that the moon god's name is Sin. Now, One dictionary, or actually it's an encyclopedia on symbols, talks about the moon god's sin. It says if Moses climbed Mount Sinai to meet the resident God, then the God he met would have been the moon god Sin, who had been enthroned on that mountain since the rise of Samaria, and gave his name to it. In fact, Sin gave his name to the whole Sinai Peninsula.
Stop right there. I want to show you something. Let's go to Grok. See if Grok tells us the truth this morning. You know how Grok it now. I might have to force it to tell the truth. Was Sinai alleged, because there's also proof that no archaeologist can even find any mountain called Sinai or any place called Sinai, and that is for a good reason, and I'll tell you why in a second. Allegedly, in the Egyptian Peninsula. Let's just see what happens. See what he says. These AIs are always trying to overcorrect me. Well, I don't give a lot of pushback today. He says yes, the traditional and most widely accepted location for the biblical. It's important that you understand. The biblical Mount Sinai is in the Sinai Peninsula, which is a part of modern-day Egypt. Why am I bringing this up? Well, the Bible speaks of the Jewish God coming from the mountains of Egypt. Well, it says the mountain commonly identified in Mount Sinai, also called Mount Horeb in the biblical text, is Jabal Musa, Mountains of Moses, granite peak in southern part of the Sinai Peninsula. This site has been revered since at least the 4th century, when early Christian pilgrims and hermits associated with the place where Moses conceived the 10 Commandments. Again, scholars have not, they cannot prove this place actually existed. Most biblical scholars, historians, and Egyptologists accept this as the traditional site. You see the wording? So, when it comes to religion, I don't want you guys to think like, oh, yeah, I'm just against religion. No, I'm a critical thinker. I listen to what people say. If you're going out your way to use vague words, I'm going to pick it up because that's how my ears are trained, right? Because I want definitive answers, right? Definitive transparency. If it seems vague, broad, any of that, I'm going to pick it up immediately and be like, yo, so is that definite? Oh, is that definite? But as soon as they start saying, well, most scholars agree, is that means that it has not been proven. Most scholars agree means it has not been proven. Even by these dogmatic organizations, committees, authorities, it has not been proven. Science does this a lot. Religion does this a lot. And therefore, you being the person that does not have time to look all these things up, that is a victim of the Stanley Milgram experiment, where you see anybody in a white coat, you stamp PhD on anybody's paper, you come to me and be like, but Jamel, what you're talking about is conspiracy theory. And I'm looking at you, but I have to deal with you delicately because I know your mind is just juvenile. Because you're saying what I believe in is conspiracy theory, thinking that what they said is actual facts, and you're not hearing because you're running off too fast to what you want to believe. You don't want to believe you wasted a lot of time in a religion because you're just like, no, God exists. I never said God didn't exist. Did you hear me say God didn't exist? Did you hear me say that? Because I didn't say that. So why are they saying that? Because I said they lied to you in your religion. You jumped immediately to, but I know God is real. Well, good for you. I never said God wasn't real. So what are you saying to me? I never said that. But you heard me say probably more than likely is your God is a joke. I never said God wasn't real. I never said that. And who am I? Don't listen to me then. You understand? But it's not looking good for the religions. This is why I had to put this on members only, right? I don't want nobody coming over here that don't want to break things down logically, truthfully. Because I know if I be capping, I would know. Like, nah, Mel, I'm kind of capping right now. I'm not capping. I'm going over history with you. I'm going over definition with you. I'm pointing things out. So it's not me that's capping. Let's get that straight. It's you who may not just want to hear it. And it's like, nah, you stretch. I'm not stretching nothing. Right? So they don't really know about this Mount Sinai. But I'm going to let Jordan finish cooking before I tell you the rest. There's more to what I was about to say, but let me as Frankie Blanco would say, let him cook.
Really, the land of Sinai. So originally, Yahweh was not only a form of the primitive lunar deity of Arabia. So Yahweh, the God of the ancient Hebrews, is actually the old god of the mountain, Sin, the moon god.
According to Jordan, he has not given me enough background on that. He kind of said that very vaguely, right? He just threw that in there. Oh, Yahweh's the original Yahweh was just another form of this primitive lunar deity of Arabia. It's not that I don't believe it, but I think you should have more. Explain that. Elaborate on that a little bit more. Just don't throw that out there. When you do that, that means that part of your research was thin, right? And just say that. Be transparent with the people. Let them know. Listen, I tried to look up more on this, but it's looking kind of thin, right? There's not a lot on it. They will understand because your whole presentation is not going to be thin. It's going to be that one part. But don't try to act like the people not going to pick that up because then that's when they get a little bit leery of your tactics, right? Just be transparent, bro.
So originally, Yahweh was not only a form of the primitive lunar deity of Arabia. So Yahweh, the God of the ancient Hebrews, is actually the old god of the mountain, Sin, the moon god. It says in Babylon, homage was paid above all to the moon god, the supreme guarantor of cosmic order. So we see this, here's another one, another cuneiform picture from the ancient Sumerian showing the god Sin receives the homage of two of his worshippers. You'll see the moon in the lower quarter, and that's the moon god Sin. And as I said in the ancient Arabian system of moon worship, a mountain was Ai. So you take the mountain Ai and connect it to the god Sin, it becomes Sin Ai, or Mount.
Okay, now I have to jump in here. When he said that, I didn't know what he was talking about. He said AI. So apparently, there's an old Hebrew word called I, and it means an elevated mound, an artificially elevated mound. It doesn't, if you look it up, it's not going to say that it means mountain. However, as a truck driver, I get to see a lot of different things, right? So I see a lot of different construction. And I've seen several places that created these artificial mounds, and they look like small mountains. They look like mountains. So there have been artificial mounds all around the world, right? That some look like mountains, right? But they started as a mound, an artificial mound. The Hebrews had a different word for mountain. But their word for this artificial mound was I. Now, what bugs me out is that they cannot find this Mount Sinai. This is why theologians say they agree that this is where it was. Doesn't matter what you agree on, right? Now that we have the definition of I, which I think is A-Y, is it A-Y-A? It looks like AI, right? AI. But it's pronounced I. When you put those two together, you have the moon god from the elevated mound. The moon god from the elevated mound. From where? Now, you start to put this together and it gets real interesting real fast, right? So you had this character, Moses, who, for some strange reason, has the same story of the origins of his story is the exact same as King Sargon, right? Which the whole baby and a bassinet in the river, that was King Sargon's story. That came civilizations way before the Jewish people were even invented. So again, you're borrowing stories. So Moses looks made up, unfortunately. Beautiful story, right? Now you get Moses. He goes up into this. The Bible says a mountain. Well, you can build a mound to look like a mountain, and there are mounds that look like mountains. I could be capping if there's mounds that look like mountains. Let's look up and see. I don't know. Mounds that look like mountains. See if I'm capping. Stop the cap, Saladin. Alright, here's a mound with steps. See if I can do. Okay, that's good, right? So look at this mound. That's a mound. And up here are two is a family, two boys and an adult. So what I'm saying is, if this is a mound and you have a person right here too, hold on. You have a person way down here. So I just want you to see how big this mound is. Whatever this guy's doing, right? So what's stopping the people from being down here and then Moses climbing up, going in the back? You don't see Moses, and then he comes down with these clay tablets right? Because no one has ever found this mountain. So maybe the story was changed to, Mount Sinai, when really it was a mound of sin, meaning the moon god sin, and it was the mound of the moon god sin. Pronounce I. So you have Sinai. Wow. Crazy. But let me let him cook.
Sinai. Mount Sinai is simply the moon god Sin and his mountain, which is spelled AI. Worship of the moon god. So, we see that originally Yahweh, the last sentences in yellow, says the original Yahweh was only another form of this primitive lunar deity of Arabia. So that's why today in America we spell synagogue S-Y-N. But originally the correct spelling is S-I-N, not S-Y-N.
That's crazy. I learned so much. And I knew some of this before I even watched this video. What I didn't know is that the original spelling of synagogue was S-I-N. I wouldn't have believed that. What else? I didn't know that Moses was depicted with horns. I didn't know that. This is just history. This is not even conspiracy theory. That's the sad part. It sounds nuts because it's like, nah, I would have knew that. No, I guess we would not have known that if they didn't want us to know that. And as you struggle with whatever your cognitive dissonance, and I know you're dealing with a cognitive dissonance because I was in religion for well over 30 years. And I had to deal with it. So I know you're dealing with it. But to be true to yourself, you have to consider the new information. To be true to yourself, you must consider the new information. Now, my shows, it will all come together, right? At some point. My goal is not to make anybody atheist. That's not my goal. I'm not suggesting you do, right? I'm just searching for the truth. However, I had to let go of some things once I found out that wasn't the truth. And one of the things I had to let go was religion because it wasn't the truth. Sadly. I didn't say I let go of my interpretation of God, but it changed from, it's not Jesus, I can tell you that. It's not one of these other gods you know the name of either. It's more of a spiritual connection. Because you cannot trust man, because apparently man will go to no ends to deceive and control other people. And if he can figure out he doesn't care. He doesn't care how it's gonna affect other people, how it's gonna derail the future. He does not care about none of that. As long as it makes his life better here on earth, he will tell you anything, he will do anything. Man is a dangerous animal. I know this. I don't play around with him. So the signs turns out that are all around us, and we never knew. We got a few more minutes. Let them cook.
That's why if you go to Israel and going to a Jewish synagogue, it's spelled S-I-N, because it's the worship of the moon god, Sin, the house of the god Sin. Here's a synagogue in Israel. You zoom in on it, it's spelled S-I-N, not S-Y-N. So you'll find all over the world, except in America, all over the world, synagogues that spell S-I-N in honor of the god that they're worshiping, the moon god Sin. Here's an article, traces of worship of the moon god Sin among the early Israelites. So we see that in the Jewish tradition, it's always used, the symbolism of the moon, even on their sacred or blessed symbols, amulets. You will see the worship, their hands raised, worshiping the moon. So the phases of the moon were very important in the ancient Phoenician, Canaanite, Hebrew tradition. Here you see the priest lighting a fire to the signal for the new moon. Moon worship was very important in the ancient Israel and the ancient Hebrew. Even during the Middle Ages, we see the Jewish cycle of the moon being celebrated. Lots and lots of material and pictures on the worship by the Hebrews of the moon god Sin. Above you'll see a carving, blessing of the new moon. So in Sinai, as I said, was a large and very high mountain range in the middle of Sinai. And from the east, you could look east and you would see the moon coming up and over that mountains. And so the ancient peoples believed that the moon lived in the mountain, and the moon god's name was Sin, and the mountain was spelled Ai. Put the two together, it becomes Mount Sinai. So that's who Moses would have been going up to see when he went up into the mountain to get the law. He would have been going up to see the moon god Sin. As a matter of fact, it's called Sin Ai or Sinai. So, the moon god Sin. That's the first part of the real story of Moses.
It's kind of crazy, y'all. We got this effing guy in the house. He said, these Jews love watching these privileged little white girls get their damn gay face blowed off. He's in here with the Caucasian rhetoric this morning. I'm here for it. I'm here for it, this effing guy. Urban Max says, I question how we can see the moon everywhere at one time. Okay, Urban Mac wants to get to flat Earth. He wants he's trying to get to flat Earth as soon as possible. Let's go. I'm down to revisit flat Earth at this point. I'm down for it. We got B Dolo in the house. All right, Uncle Andy had to leave. All right. Again, that's my show. I didn't do an intro. I'm not gonna do an ending. But when I do these type of shows, it's more or less for you to think. You understand? If you want to know the truth. This is why I tell a lot of people, don't even watch this show. Because I don't want to be the cause of you discovering something that is going to change your life forever. Right? Because it's going to feel like the Matrix. It's going to feel like everyone else is living in a dream world, and then you are here with the cold hard facts and truth that we've been manipulated, and it's not going to feel good, right? So the red pill ain't for everybody. Unfortunately, that's the type of content I do. I do red pill stuff, right? This Stephen God says, how we see the same side only of the moon. I told you guys how. You don't believe me, right? I told you it is a satellite that was brought here by the reptilians. But when I say it like that, it sounds ridiculous. Okay. Okay. I mean, I don't know how much more that the government need to tell you about the moon. They told you it was a hollow. It sounds hollow to them. It doesn't spin. Right? It's called cognitive dissonance, people. Right? What we know is this: energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be, and that's what we hear. I don't know if energy can be created. I'm only repeating what they say. They could be liars, but they tell me that's a better way to put it. They tell me energy cannot be destroyed or created. It can only be transferred. I don't know if they telling the truth. However, if that's the case, and I know this is an electromagnetic field, I know this because of the electromagnetic energy that the earth creates, and then one that is pushed out from the sun. Then what we call an aura is a continuous is really electromagnetic energy that is continuously going on through our body, because in order for information to get from one cell to the next, there's something called the synapse that goes on, and it's like an electrical charge, and this is always happening in your body, which would create this field within yourself, right? So we're dealing with a lot of electromagnetic energy here, and we're dealing with energy. And if energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transferred, then where does that information go? It has to still be there somewhere, which I think the mystics and the ancients called the Akashic records. I think this is the Akashic records that they're speaking of, right? So there are some things that can't be explained. Like when I was young, real young, I remember other lives that I lived. And the older that I got, I forgot about these. But these premonitions used to come all the time of these older lives that I lived. Like, not in this body, but another one. All the time they used to come up. And I would remember it. And the older I got, they faded out. And then I realized, I heard of this happening to other people, so I knew these other people wasn't bugging, because I wasn't bugging. I knew what I was dealing with. So I say all that to say, every time someone is talking, they may talk with such conviction because there's an intuition in them that tells them, nah, this is what happened. These people are telling you lies. They're not telling you the truth. This is what happens. So when I do hear the truth, it resonates. And I say, I can't prove it. I can't prove it. So I'm going to tell you, this is what I believe, but I'm going to strongly believe it. I'm going to strongly believe it. Now, I say we are humanoids. That has nothing to do with being racist, none of that, right? People hear what they want to hear. So if I say, yo, the scientists, the earth scientists say that the white man just got here 10,000 years ago, all people heard was the white man. And then they get offended. Oh, the white man, what are you saying about the white man? Yo, we all the same. Well, first of all, how can you say we all the same if some people have eumelanin and some people they have way less eumelanin? So you or none. So you're saying we're the same, but we're not the same. Just because you say we're the same doesn't make us the goddamn same. Right? If one person could stand in the sun and get burnt up to a fuck like a vampire, and the other one is just could go about his normal fucking day, we're not the fucking same. Just because you keep saying, yeah, we're the same, it doesn't make sense. No, what you're recognizing is that we're all humanoids, right? And then they just want to lump us all together. So they told you a story about. They told you a story and you took it, you interpreted it the way you wanted to interpret it. They said the gods said, let us make man. How more fucking clear could that have been? But you still dealing with what you want to deal with. That's fine. If you like it, I love it. But now the shit is falling more apart. It's going to keep falling apart till it's on the ground in shambles. And it is damn near there. So they found out these gods called the Elohim, they found out the word God was not the original word they used. They used Elohim. Then they found out that was a plural word, which made more goddamn sense than one God saying, let us create man in our own image. People have to find this out. They're not going to tell you the truth. So once somebody else find it out, yo, you know that the original word was Elohim, right? And Elohim is plural word? You sure? Elohim is plural. Say it again in plural. And the God said, let us make. Oh shit, you right, bro. Yeah, but bigger than that. Just talking from the grammar perspective, I am, the words in it and I am in Hebrew are plural words. So they have not been telling us the truth. Oh snap, that's crazy. Right? But for sentimental value, because your uncles, your father, your mother, they was part of a religion, you're gonna continue on, right? You don't have that audacity yet. You don't have that. You don't have enough to step out, and I get it, right? So you continue doing what you do, or you leave my channel. That's fine, because this is not a church, and you have to do what's good for you. But if they was to tell you the history of this planet and other star systems with galaxies are in star constellations, not the other way around. So there are other galaxies, there are other planets, and if you think that Earth is the only one with life and humanoids, then why you believe that? Because you read a book that was plagiarized, and I'm telling you how. I'm breaking the whole thing down for you, not to be refuted. The things I'm saying cannot be argued. Do you see anybody coming up here arguing with me? No. This only thing Roderick Thornton has said is, I want to see more scholarly journalism, right? And I try to explain to him, I would not waste my time trying to get what you want. I'm telling you, you go look up and refute what I'm saying. I don't need to go find sources for you. Or you can continue on living like you're living. It don't matter to me, bro. If you like it, I love it. I don't care. It shouldn't bother you if you don't believe it. I'm not going to go hunt the food, cook the food, and then put it in your mouth and then move your jaw bones to eat the food and rub your belly too, bro. What are you talking about? All right, later, Winter. Alright, y'all. I only got a few minutes left to spend with my family before I go to work, so I gotta get up out of here. At some point, maybe today, I will talk about Venezuela, and that will not be on the members only, and we'll get it done. All right. That being said, hope y'all enjoyed this bit of information. Hope it helped out some, or you even enjoyed it, or whatever the case may be. I found it interesting, so I said let me share it with y'all. You heard? All right. Peace out, man. Have a great day.